Hello and welcome to Hemlocks and Loons. My name is Forrest and we're out on another adventure here in Sylvania Wilderness. Today we are on Deer Island Lake. And the reason we're on Deer Island Lake is to check out a couple of abandoned campsites. There's two campsites on this lake that the Forest Service got rid of back, around 1970. They show up on a couple of the older maps I was able to find, and I thought I'd just see if there was anything left of them. There's 5 of these campsites total across Sylvania. I previously checked out one on Clark Lake called Hemlocks. Right now, we're headed over to check out the first one. There's no place you can legally camp on Deer Island Lake. And when I found out there used to be campsites out here, I thought that was kind of interesting. And hopefully maybe someday the Forest Service will reinstate these campsites out here. An eagle we just had fly out of there. Okay, so this little corner that you're seeing here ahead of me is the general location on that map where the Raven campsite is. So we're going to go in here and see if we can find a decent place to land. So this corner itself doesn't look like it has a good place to land, but I see a spot over here that might be better. Okay, so this is where I landed. And this is the little point where I believe it was. So we'll do some hiking around in here and see if we can find anything. You don't see that every day. It's amazing that that thing's just floating there like that. So I've walked around a fair amount and I don't see any evidence that there was a campsite here. This would be a beautiful place to have one. It's also not surprising that I'm not finding any evidence at all. We're talking, what, 50 years, over 50 years of time has gone by since this site was stopped being used, so. I was hoping that I'd at least find the remains of an old fire pit, but no luck. The old Hemlock campsite on Clark Lake is the only other one I've visited, and just like this one, I saw no evidence there either that there had even been a campsite there. So let's get back out to the boat and we'll head on and at least check the other old campsite, and I think that one's called Hawk. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, please consider going down below and giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my content pop up in your feed, please consider also hitting that subscribe button. Thanks. So this out in front of me is the big island on Deer Island Lake. As you can tell, it's a decent size. It would take probably take a full day to truly explore it. I don't know how well you can see that in this light, but Mountain Dew Baja Blast. Just sitting on a log on the edge of the lake here. Oh, we'll take that out. It's always good to leave a place better than you found it. The other thing is cans aren't technically even allowed in the wilderness. You're not supposed to be bringing aluminum cans out here. I went from not seeing anyone out here when I first got on this lake. Now 3 canoes and 2 kayaks. So somewhere in here is where the Raven campsite would have been. Just looking for a good landing. I think I've got one in front of me here. Not sure this was the best place to land. Oh, here, I found a animal trail. So again, this area, everything I see around here, this would be an excellent place to have a campsite. There's some flat areas. Again, no sign of a previous campsite. I know back in the era that these were around 1970 or so, a lot of these campsites were set up to be for multiple people to come and camp here. They'd have an outhouse, they'd have several fire pits, and they'd have picnic tables. But I don't see any sign of any of those items out here. Kind of wish I could take a trip back in time for 10 or 15 minutes just to see what this site would have looked like back in the day. So, like I said, I've spent a fair amount of time here walking around trying to find any evidence, and I'm not seeing anything. So, it's starting to get late in the day, so let's get moving.